Have you ever had someone get your hopes up, then disappear? Or they made it sound like something was a done deal, and later you realized it was never solid. And the worst part is not even the disappointment, it is the confusion. That messes with people. And if you are a leader, a business owner, a parent, a mentor, or even just a friend who wants strong relationships, you need to hear this. Do not lead people on, because leading people on is not just annoying, it is destructive. It breaks trust, it damages credibility, and once people stop believing your words, it is hard to get that back. Welcome to the Becoming Her podcast. I am Faye, and today we are talking about the importance of not leading people on in business and in life. Let me start with something real. Sometimes leading people on is not intentional. Sometimes it is emotion, sometimes it is excitement, and sometimes it is you hearing partial information and running with it like it is confirmed, and then you spread it, and then it grows. And by the time it reaches the next person, it is not even the same story anymore. You remember how kids used to play that game where one person says something, and by the end of the line, it has turned into a whole different story? That is what happens when we speak too fast and verify too little. And scripture is direct about this. Proverbs says, "The one who gives an answer before he listens, this is foolishness and disgrace for him." That is what leading people on often is: talking before you truly know, speaking before you truly listened. Now, here's the first rule: if you realize you led somebody on, even unintentionally, correct it immediately. Do not let it ride. Do not hope it disappears. Do not avoid it because you do not want to look wrong. Because the longer you let it go, the bigger the damage gets. Own it, correct it, make it clear. Hey, I spoke too soon. I misunderstood. I did not have the full details. Here is the correct information. That is maturity. That is integrity. And let me say this clearly: integrity is not never making mistakes. Integrity is how fast you correct them. Jesus said in Matthew 5, "Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no." That is about clarity. That is about truth. That is about being trustworthy. Now, let us talk about how this shows up in business. You tell someone, "We are getting a bigger product for the same price," and then you find out the price is changing. You tell someone that business is closing for good, and later you learn they are simply taking time off. You tell your team, "This launches in May," when the truth is, prototypes start in May and the launch date is still unknown. Do you see the pattern? It is not always lying. Sometimes it is you rushing. Sometimes it is you assuming. Sometimes it is you wanting to be first. And being first is not worth being wrong. If you want a simple, practical strategy, here it is. When you receive new information, give it 48 hours before you repeat it. Not because you are slow, because you are wise. Take time to process it, reread it, ask questions, get clarification. Make sure you heard it right, because Proverbs also says, "Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment." Even if your mistake was unintentional, the impact can still feel like deception. And that is why accuracy matters. Now, let me take this into leadership, because this is where it gets serious. If you are a leader and your team miscommunicates something, do not humiliate them. Correct the information, yes, but take responsibility for your leadership. Say, "There was an error communicated. I take responsibility as the leader. Here is the correct information." That is what strong leaders do. They do not throw people under the bus to protect their ego. They protect the mission, the culture, and the trust. And trust is everything. In business, your name is your brand. Your word is your reputation. If people cannot trust your word, they will not trust your product, your service, your leadership, or your promises. And let me give you a warning: if you lead by humiliation, you will kill morale. If you keep talking about people like they are stupid, whether it is your employees, your team, your clients, or even your own family, you are creating an unsafe environment. People will stop producing, people will stop asking questions, people will stop training because they are afraid of being the next person you talk about. And scripture speaks to this too. Ephesians 4 says, "Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them." Encouragement does not mean no correction. It means correction without cruelty. Proverbs also says that the tongue has the power of life and death. Your mouth can build people or break them. So if you are a leader who loves control, loves perfection, and loves to make people feel small when they make a mistake, you are not leading. You are intimidating, and intimidation produces fear, not growth. Now let us bring this into family life, because your home is also a leadership environment. If your kids hear you constantly tearing people down, calling people stupid, complaining, gossiping, and shaming, do not be surprised when they stop telling you the truth. Do not be surprised when they go to someone else for advice. A lot of people lose access to their kids emotionally because they created an environment where mistakes were punished instead of guided. And again, scripture is clear. Colossians says, "Fathers, do not aggravate your children or they will become discouraged." That applies to parents in general. If your leadership creates discouragement, you are training people to hide, not grow. So, what is the solution? Slow down. Process information before you speak. Ask questions before you announce conclusions. Correct mistakes quickly and lead with strength, not sarcasm. Because if you care about your credibility, you care about accuracy. If you care about your relationships, you care about trust. Let me recap this. Do not lead people on. If you spoke too soon, correct it immediately. Give yourself a 48-hour buffer before you repeat information you do not fully understand. In leadership, do not humiliate your team. Correct the issue, protect the culture, and take responsibility. And in your home, do not create a fear based environment where people stop trying and stop communicating. Because the goal is not perfection, the goal is trust. And let me pause here for a minute. Sponsor break. Rosebud Journaling is an AI powered daily journal that gives you personalized feedback as you write. It helps you reflect deeper, recognize patterns, and stay consistent without staring at a blank page. Use it on your phone, tablet, or computer. It is not therapy and it is not life coaching. It is simply a tool you can use between sessions or while you are waiting for a coaching opening to process what is going on with more purpose. If you want to check it out, go to fayejoneslive.com/rosebud. Now back to it. Before we close, I want to leave you with one final truth. Your credibility is built in small moments. It is built when you are careful with your words. It is built when you verify instead of assuming. It is built when you correct yourself without pride. It is built when you make people feel safe to learn. So here is your takeaway. Slow down, process the information, then speak. And if you mess up, correct it fast. That is how you stay trustworthy. That is how you protect your relationships. That is how you build a brand that lasts. Thanks for listening to the Becoming Her podcast. If you want more resources, visit fayejoneslive.com. I will see you in the next episode.